سيدنا وحبيبنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك آمين. أما بعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks be to Allah Ta'ala, especially on this blessed night, the 27th night of Ramadan. In the one narration, the Prophet ﷺ says, "Man qama laylatul qadri imanan wa ihtisaban, khufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi." Whoever stands the night of Qadr, and standing can just mean filling the night with ibadah, whether it is recitation or dhikr or salah, you uphold the night. Whoever upholds the night with iman and ihtisab, introspecting, asking Allah for a reward, all of their sins will be forgiven and they will be wiped clean. So our dua is that on this night Allah will grant that for us. So whichever night it was, we're making every night, inshallah, we're praying every night a bit. So may Allah bless and accept and cleanse us all. Allahu Ameen. Also, there's a discussion when we have ibadah, discussion of rewards, but also we should also bear in mind always the discussion also about our hal or condition. That an objective of ibadah, an objective of beautiful nights is really to change our condition. Not just like something you do as like a functional act of ibadah and I'll see you later, the reward I'll see you in Qiyamah. It's something which you do that you want an effect in our hearts right now. Because the greatest difficulty of our time is really that our hearts are so hard and so stained and so encrusted and so wrapped that we often don't feel. We don't feel moved by Allah. We don't feel close to Allah. We don't feel true love. But when it comes to things of the nafs, we feel a lot of joy and farah. And this momentary elation we feel. And so we make dua to Allah Ta'ala, Allah must give us a good hal, a good condition, now in Ramadan and after Ramadan. So this is the time to be spending lots of time in the house of Allah, or if you're at home, spend time in a space where you can pray and you can connect your hearts to Allah Ta'ala. This is then the nights of devotion. The Prophet ﷺ, when they give narration about him, say, "Shadda mi'zarahu," he used to tighten his belt. وَأَيْقَظَ أَهْلَهُ, and he used to wake up his family. This was the time for ibadah. Ibadah. And ibadah also doesn't have to be like an endurance exercise. What do I mean by that? You can relax in your ibadah also. You can just relax. You can even say nothing also. You can just relax and sit back. Connect your heart to Allah Ta'ala. Just feel your heart present with Allah. Or you can even lie down and do it. So sometimes we have like a lot of anxiety when it comes to ibadah because it's so formal and I have to do it this way and I must recite this and I have a 20-page dua book I must get through and like almost like we must achieve something. Mashallah, it's good to push ourselves, but whatever you're going to achieve, it'll be okay, but what was your hal? So sometimes what happens when it comes to ibadah, you must choose an ibadah that accords with your hal, that makes you feel comfortable. Makes you feel comfortable. No. Therefore, you find like in the Arab world, it's not going to work in Cape Town so well, but anyway. In the Arab world, sometimes the people make tarawih, then at the back, there's people just sitting and relaxing and watching them. But I think that's a beautiful thing, but anyway, that's just me. Because it's not like they're doing a bad thing. They're just relaxing and they're enjoying the station of Quran and they're having a break. And they join a bit, make salah, and they take a bit of a break. Like you have to learn to like relax with Allah. Otherwise, like the anxiety isn't good. Anxiety isn't good. No. Yeah. So inshallah, this is the time that we connect to Allah Ta'ala. Bismillah. We'll translate until the verse we arrived at Surah Al-Hujuraat. You can take out the surah inshallah. Remember, we're studying it. You're memorizing the tafsir as you're sitting here. You're memorizing the full tafsir. Because only Brother Asif makes notes, no one else. No. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا O you who believe لا تقدموا Do not put yourself before in front بين يدي الله ورسوله in front of Allah and His Messenger واتقوا الله and have taqwa of Allah be aware of Allah be mindful of Allah إن الله سميع عليم Verily Allah is all hearing Allah is alim all knowledgeable يا أيها الذين آمنوا O you who believe لا ترفعوا أصواتكم Do not raise أصواتكم your voices فوق صوت النبي above the voice of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجهروا له بالقول and don't raise your voices in front of him بالقول in your speech كجهر بعضكم لبعض as you raise your voices some to others like you're having a normal conversation. You can't speak like that in front of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in case less tahbata a'malakum, your actions amount to nothing because of this action. Wa antum la tash'urun, and you do not perceive it. Inna alladhina verily those that yaghudduna aswatahum that they lower their voices inda Rasulillah in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ulaika those are the ones that alladhina those who imtahana Allahu qulubahum Allah has tested and Allah has manifested their hearts litaqwa for taqwa Lahum for them is maghfiratun is a forgiveness wa ajrun azim and for them is a great reward. Inna alladhina verily those that yunadunaka they call you O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they call you persistently and aloud they call you over and over min wara'il hujurat min wara'il hujurat from behind the chambers aktharuhum la ya'qilun most of them they cannot think they have no understanding ولو أنهم صبروا if only they had to have some patience حتى تخرج إليهم until you صلى الله عليه وسلم you came out to them لكان خيرا لهم it would be much better for them والله غفور and Allah is all forgiving رحيم Allah is full of rahmah full of love and compassion يا أيها الذين آمنوا O you who believe in جاءكم if comes to you فاسق a troublemaker a sinner بنبأ with any news فتبينوا then clarify verify it أن تصيبوا in case you afflict you strike you harm قوما a people بجهالة whilst you are unaware فتصبحوا and then you become على ما فعلتم upon that which you have done you become نادمين you become filled with regret. وَاعْلَمُوا and know أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ that amongst you, between you, is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. لَوْ يُطِيعُكُمْ if he sallallahu alayhi wasallam had to follow you في كثير من الأمر he had to follow your ideas, your directives. In many of the matters لَعَنِتُّمْ things would have certainly suffered and failed. ولكن الله however Allah حبب إليكم الإيمان Allah has made beloved to you Iman. I find interesting, suppose inshallah, is that when you look at the Quran, because the Quran you can look at through many lenses. When I say lens, you're like looking for something. So normally like when you're a beginner Arabic student and you look at the, okay, where's the fa'il, maf'ul, You look at the Nahu lens, or a Sarf lens, or a vocab lens, root letters, all of those things. Or you can look at it through like historical lens, or a fiqh lens, or a philosophy lens, or a aqidah lens, or any lens. What's interesting is if you look at the Quran through the lens of emotions. Allah often in the Quran speaks about the idea of love. It's an emotion, it's a feeling. Allah says, for example, Allah didn't say, yeah, Allah gave you iman. Allah says what? وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ. Allah gave you a feeling of iman. What's that feeling? That feeling is that you have iman and you love that feeling. You love that iman. So this is the feelings of the Quran. Naam. And of course, Muhammad said in Ramadan al-Bhuti wrote a book called Al-Hubbu fil Quran. Love in the Quran. Naam. Because he wrote on many, many things. Naam. So a lot of life is developing the right feelings. وَزَيَّنَهُ. He gave you this love for iman, and then zayyanahu, he beautified it inside of you. Fi qulubikum, in your hearts. Because when the iman is beautified in your heart, it manifests on the limbs. A person of iman is different from the person without iman. وَكَرَّهَ. And he made dislike, detested, ilaykum, to you, al-kufra, denying Allah, denying His favors, denying His existence. It's something which the believers dislike. وَالْفُسُوقَ. And to exit from the obedience of Allah Ta'ala. وَالْإِصْيَانَ. And to sin. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ. أُولَٰئِكَ, those whom they are the truly guided. فَضْلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ. This is a favor from Allah, an overpouring from Allah Ta'ala. وَنِعْمَةً. And it is a great blessing. Wallahu alimun. Allah is all knowledgeable. Hakimun. Allah is all wise. Wa in, and if ta'ifatani min al-mu'minin, if there are two groups from amongst the believers, iqtatalu, and they are fighting each other, what's your job? Fa aslihu baynahuma. Then create resolution between the two of them, reconciliation between the two of them. فَإِنْ بَغَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا عَلَى الْأُخْرَى. And if one of them transgresses, oppresses the other one, فَقَاتِلُ الَّتِي تَبْغِي. Then fight against the one that has transgressed. حَتَّى تَفِيءَ إِلَى أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. Until that group returns to the command of Allah. فَإِنْ فَاءَتْ. And if they return, فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا. Then reconcile between them, بِالْعَدْلِ, with justice, وَأَقْسِطُوا, and be fair to them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. Allah loves those who are fair and even-handed. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. The believers are إِخْوَةٌ, are a brotherhood. فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. So reconcile between your brothers. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. And have taqwa of Allah. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. In order that you may be shown rahmah. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. O you who believe. La. You'll find all things are just la. Why la? لا تقدموا. لا ترفعوا. لا يسحر. Why la, 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 la? Okay, some commands also. أصلحوا. Do this. But why all that? Because generally the Sharia has two objectives. The one objective is what? To draw benefit to the Sharia, to the people, to the community. That's called Jalbul Maslaha, to draw benefit. And the other one's called Dar'ul Mafsada, to avert harm. So when you have someone you love or community you love, what do you think is more important? To bring something beneficial to them or to keep something harmful away? Eh? First thing is always to keep the harm away. Keep the harm away. So therefore, if I not this is don't harm, don't harm, don't harm, don't harm, don't harm, all the time. Don't harm. Keep the harm away. So one of the questions you must ask yourself in the community: Because harm to the community, and my teacher, my others used to have the statement, the builders and the breakers. Alice is smiling there because you probably heard it before. The builders and the breakers. You get the builders of the community, they're working in the community, working, helping, making khidmah. Then you have the breakers, they're criticizing everybody, they're sowing divisions, they're causing problems all over the place. The breakers are the people who are doing all the stuff. The builders are not doing all of those things and they're doing something positive. No. So in the community, be a builder, not a breaker. No. Also, one of the strange things about community work, volunteer work, for some reason it becomes intensely competitive. It's like a very weird thing because there's no financial benefit. Like, I don't know, like always sometimes in the community you have like two neighborhood watches and they're always like fighting. You know what I mean? You have like two neighborhood watches, like no one's getting paid, but they both want to be the neighborhood watch. Or we have two masjid committees, all fighting. But there's no payment, it's just control. Weird, strange, bizarre. If you're from Ahlul Khidmah, you must love everybody making khidmah. Because if you only love your own khidmah and you want to oppose someone else's khidmah, you're just making khidmah for your nafs. Because you want to say, my organization is doing the best work. This disease of wanting to be the best is from the nafs. I have the best madrasa. I have the best feeding scheme. I have the best neighborhood watch. Best. Huh? Your mere humble efforts are just humble efforts done through the qudra of Allah, that Allah blessed you to serve for a few moments in your life and Allah gave you maybe a bit of results, not your results, Allah's results. So why are you getting so proud? It's a lack of tarbiyah. So remember, we spoke about building communities. You must have a good heart towards other organizations. Good heart towards them. They're all serving, they're all making khidmah, they're all trying their best. And don't come to an organization and say, why are you not doing this? What's the point of that? You come to the soup kitchen, why don't you have madrasa? Because we are soup kitchen, we give soup. You know what? We give soup. You know what? That's our job. Because many people come to me like this, I must have, but as an imam, no, I'm not an imam actually, but as like someone who talks sometimes. Don't invite me for Jummahs, no, I'm not going to come. You always get the khutbah after the khutbah. You give a khutbah, there's always a few guys come up to you and they give you another khutbah on your khutbah. So maybe I will give a khutbah about the youth. Then I'll finish a khutbah. Then I'll come, Maulana, we must start by the parents. We must have classes for the parents. So if you budget the youth, you budget the youth. If you budget the parents, you budget the parents. So you must also respect what people are doing because no one has the ultimate idea. We all just cogs in the wheel. You with me? The cog isn't the whole machine. The cog is the cog. The problem is when the cog thinks it's the machine. There's a spin all the time. Nothing's going to happen. You the cog in the wheel must work together. The madrasa, the soup kitchen, the neighborhood, watch, the person doing vegetable gardens, all khair. All khair is beautiful. Must support each other. Not try to compete. Not to compete. What are you competing for? And there's no lack of demand. I mean, if you're looking for poor people, we have sufficient poor people. And we have sufficient crime for you to fight crime. And we have sufficient people to educate. No, it's not like it's like a limited market. Khair, bismillah, bismillah, bismillah. Other thing also is don't worry about numbers and results. We plan to help if we can. If we help one person, you help 1,000 people, 1 million people. Don't worry about numbers and results. You make a good effort, good niyyah, make dua, and Allah will bless whoever comes to help you. Whatever case, bismillah. Don't worry. Don't get over obsessed with the results of your work. Sometimes we've seen many times. Sometimes work is done sincerely, and it affects maybe a few people. Like you can have a class and you can teach 5 people, but those 5 people can become like the mujaddis of a society. They can come, and I always like, I don't know, but maybe obviously I'm biased. I love my teacher, Mawlana, rahimahullah. But if you look at his madrasa, probably none of you have been there. And you won't be able to find it. Because no science to it. Somewhere in the Bundes there, in the Strand, at the back of some farm there. And if you go there, it's literally like a warehouse. They don't have proper partitioning, they buy that plywood board between each room. So if you sit in the class, you get three classes. You get your class, you get the other class that side, and the class this side. You get three classes in one. Because it's not like proper, even like, like drywall and stuff. It's just a piece of board there. There's no council water there, so there's a bowl, and like it's very basic. And no one knows the madrasa, no one knows the logo. People don't even know Malta is. But mashallah, look at the effect he had. So many students working in the community, not only our community, internationally, all over the place. And he was never one to worry about name and advertising and all of this stuff. It was the furthest thing from his mind. Rahimahullah. So it's good lessons for us too. Because we live in the age of numbers, likes, follows. We live in the age where the recognition, we worried about the recognition. And I remember, and I always tell my teachers this, my Qudri teachers, because one of my favorite stories. As a young student of Maulana, I was like, Maulana, other institutions are so prominent in advertising. Your madrasa, you must advertise, Maulana. You must let people know about your madrasa. Maulana looks at me and says, don't worry about recognition. Recognition comes from Allah. Don't worry if no one knows you. No, you know, because as a student, you want to say, okay, I have something valuable here. I want to support you. I want people to know about your value. Don't worry about it. Recognition comes from Allah. So if you're making khidmah in the community, you also need to tarbiyah just to make khidmah well, inshallah. And Allah will bless. It's not about the numbers, not about the effect, not about the poster, not about the media, not about the likes. It's about the hearts, helping hearts. Inshallah. May Allah bless us to be sincere in whatever we do. May Allah accept the very, 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 very little we do. The very little. We have such enormous blessings and we do so little. We have enormous, vast blessings and we do like a little bit and we feel so good about ourselves. May Allah accept the little that we do. And may Allah protect us from doing any harm to the community. That's just the whole point I want to make. The whole point of the surah was don't harm in this way, don't harm the messenger, don't harm the way of Allah, don't harm people who are with you. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin. Don't humiliate. Let on one group of people humiliate another group of people. Asa ay yakunu khayran minhum. Perhaps the group that you're humiliating that has a low social rank, perhaps they are much better than you. Than the first group, not you, the group doing the humiliating. وَلَا نِسَاءٌ مِّن نِسَاءٍ. And do not let one group of women humiliate and insult another group of women. عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُنَّ خَيْرًا مِّنْهُنَّ. Perhaps that group that is being insulted, humiliated, they are much better than the one who's doing the insulting. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. And do not, تَلْمِزُوا means to push harshly. Don't insult أنفسكم, yourselves. Some of you insulting others. وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. And don't give people or groups of people names which they don't like. Names which are hurtful. بِئْسَ الْإِسْمُ الْفُسُوقُ بَعْدَ الْإِيمَانِ. How terrible is it to have these names of fusuq, of disobedience, after you had iman, after you are a believer. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَتُوبَ. And whoever does not make tawbah, because it's haram, whoever doesn't make tawbah, then فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Then those, they are the wrongdoers. So in this ayah here, we have three things you mustn't do. Mustn't humiliate, mustn't insult, mustn't call people names you don't like. That is all direct attacks. Then Allah spoke about the internal compass towards other people. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. The last Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, number 5. Oh, you who believe, ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhann. Avoid a lots of dhann, evil thoughts about people. Inna ba'd al-dhanni ithmun. Because some thoughts are ithmun, they are sinful. Wala tajassasu. And don't spy on people. trying to find their faults, trying to uncover their private matters. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا, and don't let some of you make ghiba on other people. Again, you can see three laws. What is it? Don't the dhan and the tajassasu and yaghtab. And all of those things are internal. Dhan is the thought. Tajassasu is you spying with other person knowing. Yaghtab, you're speaking about the person with other person knowing. So in people's absence, don't harm them. In their presence, don't harm them. And the believer is of such a rank and standard, even in their absence, we don't harm them. Because their honor is valuable. The honor is valuable. أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَيَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا? Would any of you like to eat the flesh of your brother, your dead brother? فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ, you certainly dislike that. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, and have taqwa of Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَوَّابٌ رَحِيمٌ. Verily Allah loves to accept repentance. He is Rahim. So we begin inshallah today with verse number 13. Ya ayyuhan nas. Different one now, eh? Not ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Ya ayyuhan nas. O human beings, O mankind. Inna, verily we, Allah, in our might, in our power, in our authority. Khalaqna, we, Allah, in our might, power, authority. We have created you, all of you, min dhakarin, into different categories. Min dhakarin, into males, wa untha, and into females. Islam is binary. Why is it binary? Because two of your sources of knowledge say so. Your one source of knowledge is revelation. Your other source of knowledge is empirical study, which is ayat. Your revelation tells you that there are males and females. That's an ayah fil Quran. Then when you go look at the ayat in nature, you go study it, you find what? There's two categories called male and female. Because the creation is an ayah of Allah Ta'ala and the revelation is an ayah of Allah Ta'ala, and both are agreeing. Why? Because the creator is one. Same source. So therefore in Islam, there's just the male and the female. But let's not get distracted with that. But just to tell you, that it says so in the ayah. No. No. And also the meaning of dhakar and untha, it also means we made you from a dhakar, from a man, and from a woman. Adam and Hawa. Which means that your source is also one. Your source is also one. Why? وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا. And then we made you into shu'uba. When you read what does shu'uba mean? Shu'uba or sha'ab is going to be, when you say تَشَبَّعَتْ أَعْضَانُ الشَّجْرَةِ وَانْشَعَبَتْ. You know when you have a branch and then the branch splits into like two branches. You say three out of three works is a thick branch, and the branch splits into another two branches, and then split again, split again, split again. The splits are called shu'ub. You with me? But if you go reverse back, you can't reverse forward. If you reverse in the branch, you're going to come to what? One trunk. Therefore, خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى. That's the one source, Adam and Hawa. And from there, we're all going to go branching out, shu'uba. وَقَبَائِلَ. Qaba'ila is going to be, so shu'uba, different types of people, like different races of people. And qaba'ila are going to be like different tribes of people, different cultural tribes and parents and grandparents and so on. لِتَعَارَفُوا, in order that you may know and recognize and learn from one another. Inna, it's one of the most important verses to remember in your life. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Let's memorize that, become hifz of that piece of the verse. Eh? Let's say together. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Again. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. One more time. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Remember this for the rest of your life. The Quran gives you slogans that don't come on TV and all of those things. Slogans from Allah. Inna verily akramakum, the most akram, kareem, noble, honored, elevated of you. Indallah. By Allah. Not by people. By Allah's ranking system. The most noble, elevated of you is going to be atqakum. Those who have the most taqwa. How do people rank? How do people rank other people? People rank people on race. Therefore, at apartheid, race ranking. People rank people by what? Money, wealth. The wealthy are the elite. The poor people are like nothing. What else? Education. Families. Cultures. Surnames. How straight your hair is. How light your skin. What kind of accent you have. All those mean nothing in the eyes of Allah. You don't get bonus points for blue eyes on Qiyamah. MashaAllah, my blue-eyed servant. You get no points for your blue eyes. Wasn't even in your control. True Islam has no consideration for color. There's no difference. In the Surahs, it's just part of our history. There's no consideration for color, race, all of these things. Therefore, you get Al-Habashi, Al-Rumi in the Surah. They still recognize their voice. Bilal Al-Habashi, he's from Habasha, or Al-Rumi, or Salman Al-Farisi. You can say he's from Faris, yes, he's a Persian. But it doesn't mean anything. It's just like for recognition. Like, like, oh, you're from that Persian person. Like, it's just like, therefore, for knowing. But it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Let's read some of the Inna Allah alimun khabir. Allah is all knowledgeable, all informed. Let's read some of the Asbabun Nuzul. It's fascinating. Because Asbabun Nuzul tells you what happened when this verse came down. So you can see the situation in Makkah and Medina. So Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says, Nazalat fi Thabit ibn Qais. Naam. Wa qawluhu fi rajul. So Thabit ibn Qais, Sahabi. And he makes a statement about a man, Lam yufsah lahu. So Thabit ibn Qais comes in, and normally you make a bit of space for someone to sit down. This man didn't make space. And then Thabit insults this man saying, are you Ibn Falana? So they don't say what it is, but maybe his mother was from a certain tribe or a certain race. Cape Town also we have creative insults with mothers. I don't know where it comes from. But it's a thing. So he say, are you Ibn Fulana? Like, almost like, you like not making space for me. And you're the son of that lady. فقال رسول الله, the Prophet came to the Prophet's ears, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says, Mani dhakir fulana. Who said fulana? Who just said that now? Fulana. فقام ثابت ibn Qais radiallahu anhu. He says, he stood up and he said, Ana ya Rasulullah. I said it. Now the Prophet sallallahu is not going to rebuke him. The Prophet sallallahu is going to educate him. You with me? He's going to educate him. So he says, he tells Thabit ibn Qais, Undur fi wujuhil qawm. Look at the faces of all these people here. Look at the faces of all the people. فَنَظَرَ فَقَالَ. And then the Prophet asked him, مَا رَأَيْتَ يَا ثَابِتْ? What do you see, O Thabit? فَقَالَ, he says, رَأَيْتُ أَبْيَضَ وَأَحْمَرَ وَأَسْوَدَ. I see white faces, I see reddish faces, and I see black faces. I see all these colors in front of me. Then the Prophet ﷺ says, فَإِنَّكَ لَا تَفْضُلُهُمْ إِلَّا فِي الدِّينِ وَتَقْوَى. Verily, you don't give them any superiority amongst each other except in deen and taqwa. Doesn't matter what the color of the face is. Brown, yellow, red, black. Doesn't matter. And he's telling Thabit the only measure you must have amongst them is deen and taqwa. And then this ayah came down, that's one of the asbabun nuzul. Another one. لما كان يوم فتح مكة. The Fatih Makkah, the Muslims come with 10,000 people to Makkah. They conquer Makkah. Almost no fighting. أمر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بلالا حتى أذن على ظهر الكعبة. It's a momentous moment, eh? Even Bilal was tortured in Makkah. He was humiliated in Makkah. He comes back, the Prophet ﷺ says, Bilal, get on top of the Kaaba. Get on top of the Kaaba is like the holy house. Get on top of the Kaaba and make adhan. فقال عتاب بن أسيد بن أبي الأيس الحمد لله الذي قبض عبدي حتى لم يرى هذا اليوم. One of the Makkans now, I assume he's a Makkan, I might be wrong. But anyway, he sees this and he says, Alhamdulillah, my father has died, he didn't see this day. Meaning what? My father would never ever approve of this. My father died. فقال حارث ibn Hisham, Harith says, أما وجد محمد غير هذا الغراب الأسود مؤذنا? Did the Prophet ﷺ not find better than this black crow to be a mu'adhin? Because remember, they were just conquered now. Now they're seeing a black man on top of the Kaaba in a place of honor and elevation, and he's the one calling out to the Muslims. And for them, it's like, you know, you were the lowest of the low. Now you come here and standing on top of our Kaaba. You know what happened? فأتى جبريل عليه السلام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. These statements were so significant. Allah said, Jibreel alayhi salam, وأخبره ما قالوا. And he told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam what they said. Can you imagine Allah sent Jibreel for the statements of racism? The archangel, the best of angels, sent to the best of human beings to say that there's some people in this gathering here. Subhanallah. فدعاهم. Then the Prophet calls these people, made these remarks. وسألهم عما قالوا. And he asked him, did you say this? Did you say this? فأقروا. And then they all agreed. فأنزل الله تعالى هذه الآية وزجرهم عن التفاخر بالأنساب وتكاثر بالأموال. No. And then this ayah came down and it shook them. And the ayah came down for what they said. Last story. Ajib story. مر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم ببعض الأسواق المدينة. One day the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم is passing by some of the markets of Medina. فإذا غلام أسود قائم ينادي عليه بياع في من يزيد. And there's a man, he's a slave, a black slave. And his seller is asking, who wants to give me more for the slave? Who wants to buy the slave for more? وكان غلام يقول, Subhanallah. He says, من اشتراني فعلى شرط. He's a slave. He says, whoever is going to buy me, I have a condition for the person who's going to buy me. قيل ما هو? They asked him, what's the condition? قال لا يمنعني من الصلوات الخمس خلف رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I'll be a slave, you can buy me. I have one condition. Don't prevent me from making my 5 salawats behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how beloved this? Because in society he's nothing. He's a slave, he's nothing. He's owned, he has no property, he is property. But imagine how beloved he is to Allah. Because he says, the one thing I want, I don't want wealth, I don't want comfort, I don't want even freedom. I just want to be able to go to the masjid and pray behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فاشتراه رجل على هذا الشرط. And then a man buys a slave And he agrees to this condition. وَكَانَ يَرَاهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ صَلَاةٍ مَكْتُوبَةٍ. And the Prophet ﷺ used to see him in every single salah. He used to be in that masjid. فَفَقَدَهُ ذَاتَ يَوْمٍ. Then one day he didn't come to the masjid. فَقَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ أَيْنَ غُلَامٌ. So one of the qualities of the Prophet ﷺ is that when he didn't see people, he used to ask, where are they? Are they okay? What's happening? He didn't just leave it. So he asked his companions, where is that ghulam? Where is that boy that servant boy that used to be here? Or servant man, if I don't know how old he was. فَقَالَ مَحْمُومٌ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. He has a fever. He's ill. He has a fever, يا رسول الله. فَقَالَ لِأَصْحَابِهِ. Then the Prophet tells his Sahaba, قُومُوا بِنَا نَعُودُهُ. Come, let's go. We're all going to go visit him now. Quality of the believer also. Someone's in difficulty, distress, illness. The Prophet of Allah takes a Sahaba to visit the slave. He's still a slave, not even a free man. فَقَامُوا مَعَهُ فَعَادَهُ. They went and they visited him. فَلَمَّا كَانَ بَعْدَ أَيَّامٍ قَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ مَا حَالُ غُلَامٍ. And he came there after a few, and he came there and asked him, what is the hal of this ghulam? How is this boy doing? فَقَالَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ إِنَّ الْغُلَامَ لما به فقام دخل عليه. نعم فقام عليه فدخل عليه وهو برحائه. And he was severely ill, and he had a fever. In the one narration said his lips was turning like purple already. Yeah, he probably had like an infection. He was seriously ill. فقبض على تلك الحال. And then he passed away. فتولى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم غسله. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم himself took charge of his washing. وتكفينه. And took charge of his wrapping his kafan. ودفنه. And he took charge of his burial. فدخل على أصحابه من ذلك أمر عظيم. And the Sahaba, they were shocked by this illness. فقال المهاجرون. And then the muhajirun came. هجرنا ديارنا وأموالنا وأهلينا فلم يرى أحد منا في حياته. They said, the muhajir said, we came from our houses and we made hijrah without our wealth, and we had all this hardship, but we never saw anyone in our life. ومرضه وموته ما لقي هذا الغلام. We never saw someone who had an illness like this, such a difficult illness like this, and such a difficult death like this. The Ansar came. They say, أَوَيْنَاهُ وَنَصْرَ. And they were, in a sense, also complaining also. It's normal for people to compete for attention of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Students do it for teachers also sometimes. Compete for the attention. And the Ansar is feeling... Because remember the Prophet went with all the Sahaba, visited the slave, and then he himself is arranging the washing, and the kafan, and the burial. So the Ansar say, أَوَيْنَاهُ وَنَصْرَانَاهُ وَوَاسَيْنَاهُ بِأَمْوَالِنَا. Ansar said, we gave the Prophet some shelter, and we helped him with our wealth. فَآثَرَ عَلَيْنَا عَبْدًا حَبَشِيًّا. But he shows more love to an Ethiopian slave. They were almost like, feeling like, The point of the riwayah is what? How the Prophet ﷺ valued people. How the Prophet ﷺ valued people. The Quran is here for our education and our re-education. There is no value for someone's tribe and race and wealth and profession and academic whatever, or position in society or titles. هذا كله من أمور الدنيا. It's all dunyawi stuff. It means nothing. Imagine you have all of those things, you don't pray. If you do all of those things, you don't pray, you are the lowest educated person in the whole world. Even if you have 50 degrees, 50 titles, you're a super professor, you don't pray. How can you be intelligent? How can you possibly be intelligent not to worship your Lord? And also you find, not everybody, but often people of power and wealth, they often have sometimes spiritual challenges because they are elevated in this dunya, so they can start to think of themselves elevated. Allah. So it's the education for us. Whoever you meet, whether you meet the businessman CEO or you meet the cleaner, you greet them the same. Same heart, same smile, same gaze. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. Same. Should be no difference. No difference. No difference. Barakallah. May Allah bless and guide us. May Allah give us the right gaze to assess what is important, not important in life. May Allah not help us think about the ranks according to this dunya, but think about ranks according to the akhirah. May Allah not help us not to strive for the ranks of this dunya, but to strive for the ranks of the akhirah. Don't lose this point because our society is drowning, overwhelmed in the ranks of this dunya. They rank people in this dunya all the time, and on social media it's even worse because they're posting the ranking all the time. They're posting the ranking all the time. How you look, where you've been, how much you earn, how many friends you have, what you're wearing. They're posting the ranking all the time, and that ranking means nothing. That ranking is actually just delusion and illusion. The believers have more insight and intelligence than that. Because the believers know, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. May Allah make us from the muttaqeen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Inshallah, we have our dhikr jama'ah. Apologies to the jama'ah, I'm a few minutes over. But inshallah, we have dhikr jama'ah, Ibadur Rahman. And they are going to lead us, inshallah, on this important night. So join, inshallah, with your full voice and your full heart. May Allah bless, may Allah accept. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.